Today we're going to be breaking down one of the fastest growing people in the info space, Sooweigh, and we're going to be breaking down exactly what he did to be able to scale his online consulting business to 500k a month at just the age of 20. After studying his content for hours, I've realized that his business is based on systems that most business owners ignore. And today I'm going to be breaking down the 3 things that he did in order to get ahead of everyone in the industry. So today we're going to be going over how Sooweigh built his 500k a month business, and it's based on 3 things: his top of funnel, his middle of funnel, and his bottom of funnel. And so the first thing we're going to be going over is his actual personal brand, which is his top of funnel. And so when you actually look at Sooweigh, you're very curious because you see a young Asian man who's obviously accomplished so much at such a young age. And you're just curious, what does he actually do? And so if you go onto his profile, he has a very clean aesthetic. So he obviously already has a lot of followers nowadays. He has 122k, and he has only one link, which is to his consulting page, which is a whole nother page, which is just with testimonies. And so when you're really big, what you can do is have a separate page that literally just has your testimonies and accounts. And so what this will mean is if your buyers are already kind of warm, it will just push them over that edge, just having seen like a whole page of actual testimonies. And then he obviously links to his YouTube. And so we're going to talk about this, but YouTube, he emphasizes, is one of the biggest leverage assets that you could be doing, and you're leaving money on the table if you're not doing YouTube. And so when you go into his links with YouTube, you're nurtured and you basically trust him as an authority because he's going to be going over topics for 20-30 minutes, and you clearly know that he knows what he's doing and convinces the buyer that he's actually a person worth trusting. And when you go into his profile, it signals authority. He has a very minimalistic and very clean aesthetic, right? It's not screaming too loud, but obviously it shows that he's been very successful at what he does. And what that shows is, as a client, you will feel more secure because obviously he's been able to be so successful. And so as a buyer, he's basically a fit personal trainer. So when you see the personal trainer's fit, you're more likely to trust them. And he posts about his lifestyle, and it's just a very clean, minimalistic aesthetic. And he posts his clients on his stories as well, so further testimonies and further trusting, and he obviously signals authority. And so one of the biggest mistakes that business owners make is that they post a lot of value. And so what that means is you become a commodity brand where you're just competing with others based on value. And in the information age where information travels so fast, you're going to have similar information to everyone. But what actually makes you stand out is whether you're memorable and people like you as a person. And that's what he emphasizes with his 3 pillars. So with his 3 pillars, this is Sooweigh's strategy. And he emphasizes that if you have your 3 pillars that make up who you are as a person, and you keep reiterating that in your posts, that defines who you are as a person and will scream loudly as a personal brand. And so, for example, his 3 pillars are his values, his business, and his age. His values are what he values morally. So in his case, it's his relationship with his parents. If you watch enough of Sooweigh's video, you know that he has a lot of family values because he's Asian, so he calls his mom every day, and he's obviously very close with his family. And an example of that is one of his most viral videos where he called his mom to make 150k a month. And this kind of shows you more of his side and is one of his pillars. And if you're someone who also respects your mom and your family, because obviously when you're successful, it's really important to give back to those who raised you in the first place. And if you resonate with that, you're very likely to like him as a person. His second pillar is his business. He's running a 400k a month business, and you see the success that he has. And as a viewer, you obviously are taken along that journey, and you want to be there. You want to be part of that journey and part of his success. And so that draws you to him as well. And the third thing is his age. He's very young for what he's doing and the success he's had. And so he emphasizes that a lot in his reels. Even back then when he was 18 or 19, he's always emphasized his age. And when you see this, it's so impressive. And his age is a huge differentiating factor against other people, because the other coaches or business owners are usually much older. And when you look at him, you're like, how does he do it? And he actually uses his age to his advantage, because what most people will think is that, oh, he's too young, he doesn't know who he's talking about. But he's actually leveraging the fact that because he's young, why can't you do the same? Like, because he did it in such a short amount of period, no matter the age, you should be able to do the same thing as him. And so these are the three pillars that make up who he is as a person. And he emphasizes those three pillars time and time again. And so that makes him a very memorable character. And the other thing that he mentions to be able to increase his personal brand and his memorability is the 4 pillars. So likability, admirability, trustability, credibility. And so what most business owners focus on is the trustability and credibility aspect, where they say value time and time again. But there are thousands of business owners and coaches out there. So how can you actually differentiate yourself with the information that you've provided? And the actual only thing that is unique and cannot be copied is your personal brand. And so he emphasizes strengthening your likability and admirability before anything else, because if they like you, they're more likely to buy from you. And so he mentions that you should have the intersection between being an expert but being a friend. And when you get the right intersection of that, that's when you get a true buyer who not only trusts who you are and your authority, but actually likes you and is likely to buy from you, even if other people provide the same service. And so the second thing he emphasizes is value, which is the middle of funnel. And this is shown by his YouTube channel. And so he emphasizes time and time again with YouTube, and YouTube is one of the highest leverage assets. And if you are only posting Instagram Reels, you are leaving 80% of money on the table. And he's been posting for ages. He's been posting since 2 years ago. And you've literally seen his journey from when he was doing high ticket sales to currently, where he's now running a 400K month personal brand. And so he obviously mentions that YouTube is far superior to Instagram, and he explains why. The first is that people actively choose to interact with you in the algorithm. On Instagram, you're given an algorithm where you're scrolling and you're selected. On Instagram, you're given a feed and you scroll whatever is given to you. But on YouTube, there's an array of options out there. So in a home screen, you have around 12 videos, 9 to 12 videos that you can choose from, and you're choosing to actively choose them. And you're choosing to actively pay attention to the video that they are posting. And so that is a very strong signal and intent. So YouTube is far superior to Instagram. And the first reason is that people actively choose to interact with you in the algorithm. On Instagram, when you're scrolling Reels, the For You page decides what you're already watching beforehand. But on YouTube, you have a multitude of options. You have usually 9 to 12 videos that you can choose from in the home page. And the fact that they click your specific video out of the 9 shows very high intent, and that they're actually selecting your video out of all the other ones. And the second reason is that it nurtures your audience faster. And so there's a rule by Google, which is the 7-11-4 rule. And that means before a client becomes an actual buyer, they need to have watched 7 hours of your content. They need to have interacted with you on 11 different touch points and have interacted with you on 4 different platforms and locations. And so what YouTube does is, it's obviously a different location. So you're consuming the content on both Instagram and YouTube, which increases the likelihood. And the 7 hours of content is also big, because on YouTube, where the videos are 20 to 30 minutes long, it fills up that bucket much faster compared to Instagram video Reels, which are only 30 seconds to 1 minute. So by nurturing and filling in that bucket more, the more you watch their content, the more you're likely to trust them, and YouTube will get them to trust them faster. And the third thing is objection handling. he emphasizes that a really good reason to do YouTube is whenever a client has a question, there's a lot of objections. And so the objections are the difference between a sale and what's not, because all you need is that one objection and that one doubt in their mind in order for them not to buy the product. And so he emphasizes making videos specific to objections that you get in a sales call. So an example is he got a lot of objections about having to work all day. And so he literally made a video about how to make a lot of money but barely do any work for it. And he does multitudes of these objections. And so when you go on his YouTube, you're already being objection handled. So you're being taken through the sales process without actually having to go through the sales process. So by the time you turn up to the call, a lot of your objections have already been handled. And again, this goes back to the first bit about likability and admirability. But when you watch a 30-minute or 20-minute video of him talking about his life and you see his journey, you're more likely to be invested in him because you've actually watched a whole video, whole 20-30-minute video. You're more likely to see who they are as a person and have a genuine connection. And that just increases the scale to the likeliness that you are to buy their product. And so the last thing is the proof and the bottom of funnel. And so what this means is, what is the actual proof that you can actually get them from point A to point B? And so I mentioned earlier that he had his second account, which is his Go Consulting. And so you can see that in his Go Consulting, he has loads of videos, which are literally just proof that he can actually accomplish the result. And it's peppered with all his client testimonials. And so as soon as you go onto that page, if you're already warm, if you see that he's actually done what he's done across all the industries, you just be purely convinced. And so he has loads of videos where he interviews big guys like Gabe, and he does full breakdowns of his client testimonies. And a big factor of humans is community, right? So when someone else or your neighbor does something, you're more likely to buy it. And so when you see these testimonies and you see clients that are on similar paths that you are, and they explain how he was able to solve it for them, you're more likely to solve the problem. And so he also has a very interesting thing, which is his second account, which is sooweigh Go Biz. And this is a more niche account where he's more raw and authentic. And what this is again, the same thing as an Instagram, the second page, but the people who are already very warm, you're taken through even more of the nurturing process. And when you see the proof across multitudes of niches, you realize that if you can help any industry or any person, then he's likely to be able to help you, whatever your industry is. And so again, it handles all those objections. And he has loads of videos which he's talking about helping build a personal brand in 46 minutes. And so all these videos does is literally build the proof and show that he can help anyone in the industry. And so most business owners think that they're in the content business, but they're not. They're actually in the trust business, because information is spreading faster than ever now. And he proves that by building a memorable personal brand, by using YouTube to build trust and collecting proof obsessively, you can have the most iconic and memorable personal brand. And so what he's actually done is build a memorable personal brand so that he's actually not even competing with anyone in the business, because no one can replicate who you are. And if you want to implement these systems, which takes years of trials and error, you can book a call below with me where I help you build your personal brand, just like how sooweigh Go did his. And also I'll link another video of me actually talking through a business owner's content right now and the strategies they could implement to improve theirs. And so I do want to shout out sooweigh Go, because he is the one that got me started on the info space, and I love what he's doing and promoting the anti-online guru lifestyle and actually valuing your family and friends before anyone else, because I think that's much more important than things like getting a car, because I think that's what true happiness is about. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this breakdown, and I'll see you next video.